Hello, friends. I'm back again today with you like a bad penny, and to talk to you a little more about my book. I Did It My Way, which is coming out sometime in November, hopefully. And just want to talk about my next chapter, which is the second chapter, just to give you a little brief about it. This chapter is based basically on my growing years. As you know that when you're growing up, when a child is growing up, that's the formative years of any child, for any child. And they're like a sponge at that age. They absorb everything, they see everything and absorb, and they never forget that. And those are the formative years. That's why we tell all our my children and with his children that you should not be arguing or fighting or having any bad language or anything with the children in front, because they pick it up very fast. So during my formative years, we were living in a joint family, like I said earlier, with two fathers and two mothers. And my grandmother and my uncle, Mr. Bhalla's mother, we were a big family, and my brother. During those years, formative years, there were certain rules set up in the house that we all had to be up at 7 o'clock and meet in the living room. And we all had fixed places to sit where my mother used to make tea for everybody, and we used to sit and chat or read the paper or whatever else. And that was for that half an hour, 1 hour before everybody went about doing their things. So these things which I remember. Then comes the schooling days. So during my schooling days, I was very fond of sports. My mother was a sportswoman. She was a badminton player. She was a tennis player. Somehow or the other, my father was not very encouraging. I don't know why. When it came to sports, so he used to discourage me from playing sports. So I used to play sports quietly without his knowledge. And in school, I was the head boy of my school, Xavier's High School. And I was playing cricket for the school. I was playing badminton for the school, and all other sports, but mainly these two sports. And I was quite good at it. I excelled in it. And we won the Maharashtra State Junior Championship in badminton. And it's only then that my father got to know that I'm playing badminton, because he saw my photograph in the papers. And he really scolded me and said, why didn't you tell me, and this and that, when there was a big issue. And he got very violent and angry, and he was against this. But my mother said, don't worry, you continue what you're doing. So these formative years of mine in school distance myself from my father, because we never got along. He had no time or the patience to sit and talk to me, and neither did I have the patience to try and make him understand, because I was getting that same fatherly treatment and from my uncle, who was more of a father to me. So I was very happy with that, and my father never had time for me because of his social life. And when I go back and say it's not really his fault, he was busy, I would do that. I did that for my children. He was busy with his social life, with his film circle, with his parties, with his, races and everything else, whatever he was doing. So I got distracted, and in every boy there is a rebel, that when you tell somebody not to do anything, you do it. And I, like anybody else, did exactly the opposite of what my father told me not to do. And that is my rebellious days, which started in school. So I remember my first encounter or experience was I had an affair with my drawing teacher, which when I was in the 9th or 10th standard, and we had a drawing teacher 2-3 years junior when my brother was doing, and we were attracted to each other, and I had a relationship with her, which became, of course, a big scandal and everything else that happened. But she was my Mrs. Robinson, and I learned a lot from her. And it was a big scandal in school. Of course, my father got to know, and the rest was havoc. I mean, the beating and the shouting and the screaming and everything, which is I've written in my book. Just giving you a brief. After that, I turned into a rebel and did everything exactly opposite of what my father told me not to do. And smoking, whether it was drinking, whether it was girlfriends or going out with women, I did everything. At that young age, driving a car at the age of 13 and 14, which he had prohibited me. I used to drive cars. So I did everything and I became a rebel. And these formative years of mine, I became the black sheep of the family, and I was uncontrollable. After that, during the school days came the college days. During the college days, I became further rebel. My father said, do your engineering, do BSc, join an engineer, become an engineer. He got me entry into IIT Pilani. And I said, I don't want to go for engineering. No, you have to be an engineer. I did my BSc in chemistry, but to tell you the truth, I never even attended one class. I used to always be sitting outside with my clan of friends involved in Sangeet Mandal, which was the music company group we had, singing songs, and we used to sing. I used to sing in my college, and I won the best singer award, and we were having a great time, but never attended classes. And I remember even now that during my finals of BSc in chemistry, when the finals were there, I had no idea what to do, and I was scraping through every year with bare minimum. And in the finals, when I went for my final exam, it was at the KC College, I remember, opposite my house. And the examiner closed the door and he says, guys, you can go and copy. He says, go and copy, take your books and go and copy. So we were very happy. We sat down, took the books and went and copied. But copying is not an easy thing. I still got 39% marks, even with copying. But I scraped through. So I had very adventurous times playing cricket, playing badminton for college, and then the relationships with my girlfriends, and basically had a ball. Those were the best formative years of my life, which I cherish even today, and I would do anything to go back to them or have them all over again. Because you didn't have a care in the world, and then you had only one person or I don't know whether I should use the word villain in my life, and that was my father, with whom I never got along. Till we reached a stage when everywhere there's a breaking point. I did reach a breaking point with him where the incident is mentioned in my book. I don't want to speak about it, which, there's when your last straw that breaks the camel's back. I did that with him. I broke with him, and that shook him up so much. And after that, he completely changed and never troubled me again. So these all things which we teach, which we learn from our parents, the way our parents brought us up, the way I brought up or had a chance to bring, or didn't have a chance to bring up my children. This is all in the book written about. So It's basically a psyche and how relationships change. How my father and my uncle, who were best of friends, who did everything together, later on drifted apart and went their separate ways, and how my uncle became an alcoholic and went into a different zone, and my father, who never drank and smoked in his life, had a different life, like they were like chalk and cheese. And how they spent their last years together in spite of being in two different directions, with me in the middle watching what is going on, and how it affected my psyche seeing all this happen in front of you as a child in my teens. It is really so educative, and you learn so much from these things. And today I am a teetotaler. I don't drink. I've never drank in my life. And a lot of people ask me that you've been in the movie business, you've had parties, you're a social person. How come you don't drink? I just said, no, I don't like the taste of it. But the real story, why I don't drink, is in the book. Why I don't drink. And that is in the book, Why I Don't Drink. It's something that I saw in my childhood, is the reason I don't drink. So these are all interesting things which I have seen in my life and my formative years till we finished college. And then what happens after college in 65 or 66, when I finished my college, I couldn't get a job because of my qualifications. My mother was running a printing press, so I did a diploma in printing technology from JJ School of Arts. Not only because of that, but because the drawing teacher who I had a relationship was suspended and thrown out of school, and she had joined the JJ School of Arts, and that's why I was there. I took up a course there so that I could meet her. So these are all connected, and these are all purposes. And then I looked after my mother's business for a couple of years, and then took up a job which I'll discuss with you in my next podcast. So this is my story up to college times. More details are in the book about my school and college life. This is just a little trailer, a little gist of what I have written about my experiences in my book. And I'd like to sign off here and meet you again next week, when I will talk more about my school, college days, a little more in detail, and about my career and how it started, and about my early marriage, which I had at the age of 21. And see you next week. Thank you.